not repeat, or the same things do not happen in that sense. That's why I was asking about the standards of operation, maintenance, management. In that sense, once it's coming whole completely from US with your technical assistance, I would think they would come with new standards, in particular in terms of vocational training.
Yeah, well, vocational, let me get back to vocational training in particular. I mean, you're absolutely right that, although the program is providing some construction, some equipment, and that's important and useful, fundamentally the guts of any organization is not the building and it's not the equipment. It's the procedures, the commitment of the staff there, and the standards, as you said. And I think that the hope certainly with the technical training part is to again, bring in international standards. Actually, in this case, there's a German company that's offered some of the policy advice. I think there's a recognition that when it comes to technical training, Germany offers some good standards to follow, and that's being looked at as well. So I again, as a sort of a former development person, I couldn't agree with you more that it's not the things, it's the heart of anything is the people and the policies and the procedures in place.
I would like to ask your opinion. What can be done better to have more private sector investment to Mongolia? We know the Caterpillar is represented by a private company, Warner Asia, and they are doing a good job. They have a shop in Darkhan and Ulaanbaatar. They do very good, and I think it's on a very good wave of investment in mining. Other than that, how do you see and why they're not coming?
Right. Well, just to pick up on Wagner Asia in particular, I mean, I think that is probably our biggest investment so far, not just here in Ulaanbaatar, but in Darkhan. They have an agricultural equipment place, and down in the South Gobi, as you imply, they have a mining place as well. I think one of the good figures for Wagner Asia is that they have approximately 360 staff, and 355 of them are Mongolian. So it's a company that has had a big-time commitment to employing Mongolians, to training Mongolians, and that's part of their work. I think in some sense, that underscores the importance of issues like transparency and fairness and all that when it comes to attracting quality international companies. There's other American investment. There's certainly other American trade back and forth. I think in some of the mine in the South Gobi, there's certainly an American presence there too. But you're right, Wagner Asia thus far is probably the single biggest investment. And what you get, you have to sort of decide, do you want international standard quality companies to come? And if you do, you have to have this fairness, this transparency, this sort of level playing field. And you have to have decisions made by a legal structure in place that can, disputes are inevitable in any commercial endeavor, and of course you have to have a legal structure in place to resolve and adjudicate them. But fundamentally, it can't be about personal relationships completely. It has to be about legal frameworks in place, about investment frameworks in place, and that's the key.
Okay, then we come to the issue I want to raise about the governance. Democracy and governance, transparency of public governance, and it is not secret that we are sliding down on the scale by Transparency International on corruption. We were sharing now 120th place with Kazakhstan, Vietnam, out of 180 countries today, and it was 90 or 30 countries ahead, or at least 30 more countries ahead a few years ago. So why is that happening in this country all the time? How do you see?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure. I think that the international rankings are good because they kind of let you see how you stand. I think that people say it's like riding a bicycle when it comes to this stuff. If you stay still, you're going to fall down because others will get ahead of you. And I think that bicycle illusion is a good one actually, because it's true. You have to move forward. You can never, as a policy person, say we're there, we've done it. There's always a whole new set of policy issues. I think, again, getting back to even that Paul Collier article I mentioned, I think good governance he highlights more than anything. And he also does talk about corruption too. I think people are certainly aware of it. I think I might mention our program through the Asia Foundation, which has brought out several times a guy called Tony Kwok, who was head of the Anti-Corruption Commission in Hong Kong for many years. Hong Kong is sometimes mentioned as a country that for a number of years actually had very serious corruption issues decades ago.
How successful is this program?
Well, this guy, or this program that he was responsible for, has been successful. And you know, one can also cite Singapore as another example in Asia.
What do you mean has been successful and the corruption goes so deep in this country?
I don't know when Hong Kong. I'm talking about Hong Kong.
Okay.
Oh, so let me make it clear what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
Hong Kong. All right.
We've selected someone like Tony Kwok because he comes from a successful program that has dealt with it.
Yes.
And a lot of it, I mean, you know, efforts are being made. I think if you talk to some of your government counterparts here, he's interacted with them, and they've had, you know, ideas about how you streamline your procedures, how you set objectives, some of this is with disclosure forms and all kinds of ways, but just how you deal with it. I think that the best place for Mongolia is to look at that international experience, make it maybe Mongolian specific, but draw from it seriously. And as you imply, I think those international standards matter. And it does send a signal of concern when you're going up rather than down the ladder, or as vice versa, as the case may be.
Remember, Margaret Thatcher said once, if a patient does not take a pill because it's very sour and dies, why the doctor should take responsibility? So I think the same thing is happening with Mongolia corruption. You guys come and bring professionals' advice, but nobody listen, or they pretend to listen and do not implement it, and they do not drink the pills.
Yeah, no, it's a challenge. I don't know Mongolian, unfortunately, but there's another Mongolian expression I've heard which goes along the lines of when the lake is calm, the ducks are calm. And you asked about the commercial environment. I think that's where you need consistency. You can't have, you know, splashing waves. You can't have you know, big storms coming. People have to know to plan for the future, and certainly corruption is part of that as well. But I think, you know, this image, I mean, you used a good one, I think, from Margaret Thatcher, but I think even from Mongolians' own traditions, something like that. You know, there's other lakes that the ducks can choose, especially the ones that fly across international boundaries like ducks do.
That's the problem we have all the time, the stormy lakes.
Have you heard that expression before?
Yes. No Ramadan bol, no Samardan. That's a Mongolian version of this word.
It's a nice expression.
A very good expression. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think we have more polarization of high income, poor income people in this country. And as a result of this pouring mining investment, looks like those who close to licenses or its speculations, not paying taxes, are all more benefiting, unfortunately. Let me go to the another section I want to ask your opinion about military. We have now very good developing military relations with your country, and your military people come here to be a part of this training. What is all this about?
Yeah, no, I mean, this is another fascinating thing. I mean, I think we with other countries, but I think one of the interesting that's happened, even in the year since I've been away, is that Mongolia has participated in UN peacekeeping assignments in Sierra Leone and Chad. I recently, I guess it was a few weeks ago, I saw the MASH, as we say, the medical unit that was preparing to deploy to Darfur of about 60 Mongolians. And I think that in that sense, the Mongolian military itself has changed in terms of its objectives. And I think by participating, it's not a huge army, as you know, but I mean, I think that they've won a lot of international praise and respectability for their assignments in these different places. Of course, they also served in Iraq and more recently in Afghanistan too. We have the Five Hills facility. I mean, recently, just I guess last week, I passed on the keys to some of the vehicles that the Mongolians will use for their peacekeeping, and I think these are probably going to Africa. And again, I think that's a good development. The Five Hills facility is actually the only.
Where is it?
It's east of here toward Hustai, and it's a wonderful facility. They've also had some improvements. Every year they have the conquest exercises there. Those are international exercises which Mongolia manages and puts forward. We participate and would like to think we've made a contribution. That facility is the only peacekeeping training facility of its kind in Northeast Asia. And so I think that attracts some international presence as well.
And Chinese and Russians military
well,
also come, right?
they have. I know that recently they had exercises in Siberia, just north of here. I think the Chinese have exercises.